You know what tree boas are best at? You know what they're best at? Hanging on to the tree! He's not gonna fall off the tree. Now what kind of Mickey Mouse operation is this anyway? We have rattlesnakes. We have copperheads. We have water moccasins and... I'm kidding. This is not the coral snake, which is the fourth one. This is a rat snake, which is why he's in a mouse bag. So what is good about rat snakes? Baby rats. And my favorite rat snake, one of my top 2 favorites, is the red rat snake. Isn't he gorgeous? He's such a good boy to me. You know what my favorite thing to do with him is? I can't tell you what a conversation starter this is at the dog park. Now he's a red rat snake, so his name is Rojo. Yes, Tony Rojo. Yes, he's fake, but there's a reason for that. First of all, nobody who does what I do and knows about as much about snakes as I do. We know this much because we like snakes. And so nobody like me would ever have a real coral snake in a show like this, because that would be mean. Coral snakes are incredibly fragile, they're incredibly gentle, they're incredibly reclusive, and they only eat smaller snakes. So if you ever see a coral snake in a zoo, those people are jumping through hoops to keep it alive. So I would never put a real coral snake through the rigors of being on the road with me to do my show. But you remember the rhyme, right? Red and yellow. Red and yellow, kill a fellow. See where the red is touching the yellow? Now where is the red touching the black? That would be the rest of the rhyme. Red and black, venom black, safe for Jack, no need to jump back. Don't have an attack. But if you actually see one of these, what do? Run is good, run is overkill, but run will do. Try not to run into any trees. Does anybody think you should tell a grown-up? Yes. Almost always the worst thing you can do. Because you see, venom isn't meant for you. Venom isn't meant for self-defense. They only use it in self-defense when something tries to kill them. Like some crazy grown-up with a shovel. He lives in the trees, hangs out in the Amazon, so they call him an Amazon tree boa. Here we go. Watch. He's not venomous, but he can act that way. And it helps to know how far he can reach. Yeah. You see, he has no fangs. Isn't he sweet? He has no fangs. There are no venomous boas, but all snakes have teeth. He's got 4 rows on top. And 2 rows on bottom. So he bites my nose, which is clearly his goal in life. If I try to pull him off my nose, I'd be digging the teeth in deeper. Now, do you guys know? You know what tree boas are best at? You know what they're best at? Hanging on to the tree! He's not going to fall off the tree. Tree boas are afraid of falling. Think about it, you and me too, if you lived in a tree and you had no arms and legs. Now here's the hard part, is getting him off the tree without bleeding. Here we go, under there, under here. I told you he was dripping. No, that's not dripping, that's, oh yeah, thank you. I was just giving him presents. Thank you. Wasn't that special? Let's hear it for the tree boa. No, he's not a rattlesnake. Does anybody have an actual guess?
A peanut butter muffin.
This is a bull snake. Why do they call him a bull snake? They do not eat bulls.
It's big.
No, he doesn't look like a bull.
Bull carving.
He's called a bull snake because he's full of bull. That's what they used to say about you in Texas. If you talk too much and you didn't know what you're talking about, they would all say, oh, that guy's full of bull. Well, that's exactly what's happening with him, because not only can he rattle his tail, now there's no rattle on the end of the tail, but if it's in the leaves or the dry twigs, it sounds like the real thing. But he can do an impression. He can open his mouth to hiss at you and wiggle a little reed in the tree. And he can make a rattlesnake sound with his mouth, right? And he's harmless, so he's full of bull. Now, what's also very cool about this animal is this is one of the last times anybody's going to see him in a show. Because when I adopted him, he was an adult. And that was 25 years ago. This is an old man. He's beginning, you can see he looks kind of skinny. He's still eating just fine, but he's losing weight, which means he's old. So very shortly, he'll be retired from the show, and he won't be going on the road with me anymore. He's been such a good friend to me. The people I adopted him from called him Lee. I call him General Lee. So I will now say something you can't say many places anymore. Let's hear it for General Lee. It's Python. You see why they call him a carpet python? Then he looked like the lobby of a cheap hotel. Actually, he's also a little bit weird. He's very friendly, but he's kind of spastic. He never can decide which way he's going. He's always knocking things over. What was that for? He's a carpet python. His name is Shag. He can also be very hard to get back in the box. Whoa. So you got to get the tail in the box before the head comes out. And it is not as easy as it looks. Let's hear it for Shad! Crazy snake. Shad! Our own Texas grass snake. If you see a big snake in your yard, that's what it is, most of the time. And if you see him, I want you to do two things. If you see him, I want you to do two things. I want you to leave him alone, and I want you to name him George. It's a lot harder to kill him once his name is George. And be sure to tell your neighbors, don't mess with George. George is our friend. George eats animals that would chew through our wires and burn down our houses, or chew into our food and give us diseases, and then he goes away. Now, as wild animals go, name me another one that does that much for you, right? Bunnies and squirrels are cute, but what have they done for you lately? Yes, he's a good boy. George is my friend. So let's hear it for George! Okay, maybe I'm supposed to be waving back and forth. You're waiting for something to happen, aren't you? Nothing is going to happen. Do you know why? Snakes have no ears. The guy on TV with the flute who's doing this, the cobra's doing this. You could be playing Led Zeppelin, it would make no difference. You have no idea who Led Zeppelin is, dude. Led Zeppelin invented the wheel. But here we go, he does make a sound. Check it out. That or a really cool sound effect, huh? He is from Venezuela. Venezuela is in South America. His name is Jesus. But most people, when they see him, pronounce it the other way. Okay, that was for a very small handful of grown-ups. Here we go. The Venezuelan Rebel. Isn't gorgeous?
I can see its rattle.
Now you know what he means when he rattles his tail, right?
Yeah, he's mad.
No, it doesn't mean he's mad. It means you're too big to eat, go away. In his world, anything too big to eat is big enough to be eaten by. Everything's trying to eat it. Dogs, cats, bears, birds of prey, possums, armadillos, people. He tastes like chicken. So he's saying, back off, you're too big to eat. I think in my case, he might be telling me he hates my breath. Yeah, he's a very good boy, but I don't pet him. Does everybody see him? Yeah! Good, let's hear it for Jesus. The most important thing to the snake is a place to hide, because remember, you're too big to eat, so if he can't hide from you, he won't want to eat what you feed him. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that our rubber boa is able to hide in an empty wooden box. Now, normally it wouldn't be wide open where you could see inside. It'd just have a hole about the size of the snake and climbing it out. But just for argument's sake, let's say that our rubber boa is able to hide in his empty wooden box. Now, as long as he's got a place to hide, he'll feel safe. And if he'll feel safe, he'll eat. And if he'll eat, he'll grow. Sometimes they grow so fast, it seems like natural. He's become a real snake. And it's still an empty box. Sometimes that surprises people so much they forget to applaud. I know you weren't expecting a magician, but it was a pleasure to magish for you. Aren't you glad you weren't expecting a wizard? So does anybody know what this snake is? What is it? It is not a rubber boa. You can't really tell what he is by his name because he's not doing it for me because... Very good. He's not doing it for me because he's not afraid of me. So right now he's more of a cinnamon roll python. But yes, he's called a ball python because when he's frightened, he rolls up into a ball. And the head and the tail go in the middle, which also makes him very popular as a pet because you basically can't get him to bite you. Look, if I get close to his head, watch. He pulls back, right? So incredibly gentle. Would you like me to prove this? I will need a volunteer. There's a very special criteria. Right here, please. What is your name, dear? Chloe?
No.
I'm sorry?
Charlie.
What's her name?
Charlie.
Charlie. Perfect. Turn around, please. Everybody say goodbye to Charlie. Charlie, your job is to remain extremely still and remember that you volunteered for this. First of all, you can meet the animal first if you want. You can see him headed. Now turn around, though. Face the audience. Because you were... You get the feeling she doesn't trust me? Turn all the way around because you're about to model the latest in living fashion.
You got it, girl.
Because you see, ball pythons are so gentle, you can just sort of wear them. Now it's okay if she turns a little red. Just let me know when she starts to turn blue. Now hold really still, Charlie, because if you're wearing ball pythons, do not forget the proper headwear. Now is this a fashion statement or what? Everybody give Charlie a big hand. Girl, you're overdoing the cute.